The chandeliers glimmered above rows of white roses. Guests in elegant suits and pastel gowns filled the grand hall of a countryside estate outside Boston. Champagne glasses clinked, violins played, and laughter echoed like sunlight breaking through stained glass. At the center of it all stood Isabella Izzy Hartman, the bride. Her long veil cascaded like mist, but her eyes carried a soldier's stillness. Only a handful of people in the room knew that before this day, she wasn't just a bride-to-be, she was Captain Hartman, a decorated operator in an elite Ghost Recon unit. Izzy had faced ambushes in Afghan deserts, infiltrated black sites, and led fire teams through storms of chaos. Yet today, her knees trembled, and not from fear of bullets, but from love. Her groom, Danielle, a gentle software engineer with a smile that calmed entire rooms, was waiting at the altar. For once, Izzy wanted to believe life could be ordinary. But life has a way of testing those who've already endured too much. Because on the happiest day of her life, 14 hostiles walked through the door. Chapter 2. The Crash. It happened so fast, guests barely processed the sound. The doors to the estate hall slammed open, black boots thundered against marble, followed by the metallic click of rifles. 14 men, masked and armored, fanned into the hall like wolves breaking into a sheepfold. Their leader barked, "Everyone on the ground. This is not a drill." Gasps filled the air, bridesmaids screamed, tuxedoed guests ducked under tables, and the violinist froze mid-bow. Daniel instinctively stepped in front of Izzy, shielding her. But Izzy, trained to read threats in milliseconds, saw through everything. The formation, the spacing, the aggression. These weren't amateurs. Mercenaries, she whispered. The leader's voice boomed. "We're not here for money. We're here for a message. The Hartman family has debts. Today, the world will see what happens when debts go unpaid." Daniel's face drained of color. He glanced at Izzy, guilt trembling in his eyes. But Izzy, though her heart raced, it didn't flinch. She had faced worse with fewer odds. The only difference was, today, she wasn't armed. Chapter 3. The bride's training awakens. The hostiles ordered everyone onto their knees. Cell phones were snatched, bags overturned, wedding cakes clattered as one gunman flipped a table. But Izzy's mind wasn't on the chaos. It was scanning exits, blind spots, potential weapons. The grand hall wasn't a battlefield, but she could make it one. Her Ghost Recon training drilled into her. Control the environment, control the fear. She whispered to Daniel, calm as a whisper of wind, "Stay behind me, no matter what happens." But Daniel, still pale, murmured back, "Is a broken bar? They came for me." Her eyes cut to his, confused. "What?" Daniel swallowed hard. "The debt. It's not my family, it's me. A broken bar. I uncovered something at my company, something about weapons contracts. I was going to expose it. I think they know." Izzy's blood ran cold. Her wedding wasn't the target, her groom was. And suddenly, the mercenaries weren't strangers. They were professional silencers. Chapter 4. The First Move. The leader dragged Daniel forward by the collar. "You're coming with us. No heroics." Guests whimpered. Daniel struggled. Izzy's pulse spiked, but she kept her face serene. The leader smirked at her. "And the bride?" "Sorry, sweetheart. Wrong day to wear white." The moment his rifle shifted toward her, Izzy's instincts detonated. In a blur, she yanked her veil, whipped it across the rifle barrel, and twisted. The weapon jerked sideways. Gasps erupted as she slammed her elbow into the man's throat, spun him, and used his own momentum to crash him against the table. Crack! The sound silenced the room. For a heartbeat, the mercenaries froze. Nobody expected a bride in heels to move like a soldier. Izzy stood tall, veil torn, eyes blazing. "You picked the wrong wedding." Chapter 5. Ghost Recon Bride. Chaos exploded. The mercenaries opened fiery warning shots, cracking chandeliers. Guests screamed and scrambled under tables. But Izzy was already in motion. She dove behind a column, dragged Daniel with her, and whispered, "Stay low, don't argue." She scanned the hall, knives in the catering trays, champagne bottles, heavy candlesticks. Not much, but enough for someone who'd turned pencils and shoelaces into weapons overseas. Every move she made was precise. She hurled a champagne bottle across the room. Crash! Glass shattered, drawing two mercenaries' eyes. In that instant, she lunged forward, grabbed a steak knife from a server's tray, and slashed the strap of one gunman's rifle. Another swung at her, but Izzy pivoted, heels scraping marble, and drove her shoulder into his chest. He tumbled into the wedding cake, smothered in frosting. The room was now a battleground, and the bride was in control. Chapter 6. Humanity in the Fire. But something changed mid-fight. As Izzy disarmed one attacker, she noticed a trembling hand under a mask. These mercenaries weren't hardened zealots. Some were young, barely older than recruits she once trained. Their eyes panicked, uncertain. Were the eyes of men forced into something. "Who sent you?" she demanded, pinning one to the ground. The man stammered, We were told it was a grab mission. We didn't know there'd be broken bar kids." Izzy's heart jolted. Kids, guests, innocent lives. She loosened her grip just enough to whisper fiercely, "You still have a choice. Don't make this your last mistake." The man froze, then nodded. She shoved him aside, letting him crawl toward an exit. Compassion was a weapon too. Chapter 7. The Real Enemy. As the fight raged, Izzy realized, these 14 weren't the real enemy, they were pawns. The real threat was whoever sent Thama, someone inside Daniel's company, desperate to bury the truth he had uncovered. The leader, bulkier, older, colder than the rest, grabbed Daniel again, gun pressed to his temple. Enough. One more move and he dies. The room stilled. Guests sobbed silently. Izzy locked eyes with Daniel. His lips trembled as he mouthed, "I'm sorry." But Izzy's voice cut through the terror. "Let him go. You don't want this fight." The leader sneered. "And what are you going to do, bride? Throw another bottle?" Izzy smirked faintly. "I'm going to remind you of something. You came here as wolves, but you fought Urgana. Today's my wedding. And I don't stand alone." She gestured subtly. Around the hall, emboldened guests, brothers, cousins, even elderly veterans in attendance were clutching makeshift weapons, rolling pins, chairs, wine bottles. The leader faltered. For the first time, the odds weren't in his favor. Chapter 8. The Turning Point. The standoff stretched like wire about to snap. Then a voice broke out of Daniel's. "If it's me you want a broken bar, take me. Let everyone else go." Gasp swept the room. Izzy's heart tore open. After everything, Daniel was ready to sacrifice himself for strangers. His quiet kindness, so different from her battlefield world, shone even brighter now. That selflessness sparked something in everyone. One by one, guests rose. Not running, not begging, standing. It wasn't just Izzy's fight anymore. It was a hall full of ordinary people refusing to bow to fear. Chapter 9. The Climax. The leader roared, yanking Daniel's head back. "Stay down, or I end this right now." But he had already lost. Because Izzy moved like lightning, she grabbed a candlestick, hurled it across the room, and struck his wrist. The gun fired wild, bullet shattering a window. In that instant, Daniel ducked, Izzy lunged, and the guests surged forward. The hall erupted not in panic, but in unity. Men and women, young and old, fought alongside the bride. Chairs smashed, bottles cracked, fists swung. The mercenaries, outnumbered, disoriented, demoralized, buckled under the tide. Izzy wrestled the leader to the ground, pinning his arm, fury blazing in her eyes. "Wedding or war, you don't get to decide who walks away." The man spat, defiant, but his strength faltered, because in that hall, surrounded by love, even mercenaries realized they were defeated. Chapter 10. Aftermath. Police sirens wailed outside. Within minutes, officers stormed in, cuffing the subdued mercenaries. Guests wept and embraced, shaken but alive. Izzy stood in her torn gown, hair undone, knuckles bruised but radiant. She had saved not only her groom but everyone present. Daniel wrapped his arms around her, whispering through tears, "You didn't just save me, you saved all of us." She pressed her forehead to his. "No, Daniel, we saved each other." Epilogue. The message. News of the attack spread across the world. Headlines blazed. Bride fends off 14 armed attackers. Ghost Recon hero saves wedding. But Izzy refused interviews. For her, the story wasn't about violence. It was about compassion, the choice to spare lives, to inspire courage, to believe that ordinary people can stand together. A month later, under a quiet sunset, Izzy and Daniel finally exchanged vows, this time in a small garden. No chandeliers, no mercenaries, just family, friends, and peace. And when Izzy spoke her vows, she said, "Love is the only mission worth fighting for."